Your hometown on WKBW-TV. With Linda Pellegrino and me, John Summers. Now, live from 7 Broadcast Plaza, it's AM Buffalo.
Just a little bit.
Okay, everybody, we're smiling on the outside, crying on the inside. We want to thank everybody north of the border a happy Canadian Thanksgiving. For everybody over here, happy Columbus Day. We're glad you're home. A lot of extra people are home today because I didn't see you on the road this morning. So I'm glad you're there. Sit back and enjoy. I wish you had something to smile about, however. I know you don't. I know you don't want to pick up the paper. You don't want to see these highlights one more time. But, you know, it's almost like that song, Where Do I Begin to Tell the Story of How Bad a Club Can Be? Oh, yes, they were bad. The Bills kind of hit an all-time low yesterday with 9 false starts, 13 penalties in total, losing to a team that had lost their last 10 games in a row, and again, not scoring a touchdown in a whole game. And that's just a few of the things that went wrong yesterday in their 6-3 loss against Cleveland. However, Jeff Nixon is here for the handoff on this one. Because Jeff,
I get to handle it.
I don't know. I don't even know. I don't know what to say. I don't even know where to begin with something like
Linda,
this.
What a
meltdown.
I didn't think it could get any worse than last week when they lost to Miami, but they never failed to depress us.
That's a good way of looking at it. Yeah,
it's a home game.
That's accurate.
You know, they're playing against the 32nd ranked defense in the NFL. And they come up with just such a poor performance, especially on the offensive side of the ball. On the defense, you know, they played fairly well. They held them to 6 points. Anytime you can hold a team to 6 points, you should win the game. Your offense has got to do something.
Certainly should.
And it was early in the game, and they got the ball to T.O. right at the beginning. I say, hey, this looks good. They're trying to get it to him. They let Joshua Cribbs run a little bit, and they ended up getting a few injuries.
Do you think he's related to Joe Cribbs?
You know, that's a good question. I really don't know.
He'd be about the right age, right?
Yeah. He
anyway,
could be a son or something.
I was looking for any kind of a positive sign here, but anything to defray the worst.
It was kind of depressing that we had Kawika Mitchell go down. I mean, this guy became the leader of that defense when Paul Pazuzzi went down, and it just you know, and it got worse from there. Then we had another injury, and they had their Marcus Buggs, the guy that came in for him, got hurt. So now they're down 2 defensive linebackers.
We saw that motion a lot yesterday.
Yeah, they say that that's undisciplined football, in quotes, you know, and they say that is a reflection of the coaching staff. But, you know, as a player, you have to be able to do the little things to win. And if you can't stay onside, if you don't know what the snap count is, then it's a problem that a coach, I don't know, can fix. That really is something that each player has to, you know, get better at themselves. One of the things I think that's happening that's creating that, though, is they're still in this hurry-up offense,
right.
and they're trying to go quick count. And what it does is your offensive linemen, they rush up to the line, they get set, they know it's going to be a quick snap. If all of a sudden, right before the snap, the defensive guy gives a little flinch, they have a tendency to think that's the beginning of the play, and so they're jumping too. Linda, last week I said this, I'm going to say it again. It's time for them to get rid of this no-huddle offense and this hurry-up offense. They need to settle down. What's happening is they're not holding on to the ball long enough. And what it does is it then puts your defense on the field, and they're out there, and they're getting tired. And time of possession is an important thing. You've got to be on the field. I think that's what helps with continuity, and that's one of the things that Trent Edwards is always saying. We don't seem to get rolling. We don't seem to get our tempo. We don't seem to be in sync with each other. Well, sometimes you need to regroup, and that's why you have a huddle, so you can get in there and you can talk about it. And there's sometimes when you're in the huddle, you can say, hey, we're going to go on 3 this time, so nobody jump.
Right.
You specifically tell the players that, and sometimes you catch them off guard. This play right here, I felt bad. That showed me that Trent just is really not in sync. You know, he underthrew that pass to T.O. That would have been a touchdown. If he'd have put that ball out there, Roscoe was trying to do everything he could to win this game. I felt bad for him because you know, he took the brunt of the criticism at the end of the game because he fumbled the punt. And they recovered it. Right here, he tries to pick it up and run with it.
He's not your normal guy who's a problem. You know what I mean? With making continual errors. I don't think.
He's an exciting guy. What he was trying to do was create a play. I mean, obviously, what would have happened if he'd let that ball go? It would have rolled back down to about the 1-yard line. They'd, you know, stopped it there. Our offense would have come out, probably been 3 and out. We'd have punted to them. They'd have got it on the 50, driven to the 40, and kicked the field goal.
Yeah, we know that story.
Anyway, they have just so many different areas that they've got problems. Obviously, the offensive line is is very inexperienced. We saw again where the left tackle, Demetrius Bell, let a guy just run right around the side and smash Trent Edwards. And when you get hit like that as a quarterback, it kind of affects you. It really does. You start thinking about your backside. And as a quarterback, you know, when they get into your head like that, it makes it hard to make the long throws because you're thinking about getting rid of it easy. You know, they're calling him,
definitely. I saw a lot of that.
They're calling him Captain Checkdown because he likes to throw these little short dink passes. Well, you'd probably want to throw those short dink passes too if you got clobbered every time, you know, every other time you're back there trying to throw the ball. So, you know, these injuries, that really hurts him. Kawika Mitchell, I mentioned that before. You know, and Paz Leslie went down, and Brad Butler was out, and Leotis McKelvin. I mean, it just goes on and on. Dante Whitner's out. Brian Scott's out. It's just a rash of injuries. That can affect a team, too. And that's no excuse. You have to have guys that are going to come in and play in a backup role, and they have to perform. And good coaches, I think, know how to get those guys pumped up and get them ready for games. You know, the question is, do we have a good coach? I don't think a lot of fans.
No, and I think the jury's actually already back on that. Okay, but if you fire Giron now, what do you do? What do you do?
Well,
Who's that? I mean, you know,
it's a no-win situation. Right. I think really at this point, Ralph is going to. Ralph has a tendency to be very loyal to people, especially when their public opinion is against them. You know, and so it wouldn't surprise me if he keeps Giron for the remainder of the season, and then finds a coach in the offseason that maybe gets let go that is available and can really help this team. They've got to get a blue-collar type coach.
That's what I've been saying for years.
They've got to get a guy that's not afraid to go out there and grab a player's face mask.
They need a yeller. How many times have I said it, right?
Yeah,
they need a yeller.
You got to have somebody that you know, is willing to scream and run up and down the sidelines.
A guy who wants to know what everybody is doing all the time. That was a Parcells. That was a Shula.
Yeah.
Like, they wanted to know what their coaches were doing all the time with their guys. They were informed. It wasn't like, well, you know, that's the offense, and I leave that to the offensive guy. Well, that's the defense, and I trust my coach. No, those kind of coaches made sure he was the one. They were accountable to him, and he knew what was going on. When you looked at Cower and you looked at those kind of coaches, they knew what everybody was supposed to be doing exactly when they were supposed to do it.
Different coaching styles.
They didn't mind getting in your face.
Different coaching styles work for different teams. Marv Levy wasn't the kind of guy that would run up and down.
But he was a yeller.
But he would. You know, we saw
can read his lips.
Classic clips of him. You all wear a vicious jerk. You know, we all remember that. But you know, I think we need a coach that's going to fire up the team.
Right.
You know, these guys don't want to throw him under the bus.
No.
You know, they ask him after every week, do you still have confidence in your head coach? Yeah, they're going to say yes.
Of course they're going to say yes.
You know, he can fire you.
They were quieter, but they said yes, you know.
So,
but I mean, I think that when you know, I mean, I just think that it's just when you get caught up in the emotion of the game and you are accountable, you need to be accountable. I mean, even the best quarterbacks who played for Parcells said when they came back, if they screwed up, they'd hear about it from him. I mean, you know, he did not hold back. And
really, you need to be able to instill fear in your players. I hate to say that, but if you don't fear your coach to a certain degree, then you don't have as much respect, and you're not going to play as hard. I just remember a coach I had, Chuck Knox. He's the kind of guy that you would take into battle with you, and he would lead you, and he would be out there yelling and screaming and fighting for you. I remember he came in after a West Coast trip the next day, and he had 2 black eyes and a cut on his head. He said, if you think I look bad, you should see the other 3 guys.
There was something, you know, there's something for that, you know. All right, now we have the Jets coming up next week. I don't know. We don't know. They don't know. So we're just going to say best of luck, and we'll see you then. I don't know. We're out of time for the segment. I don't know what to say. I don't think anybody knows, but thank you for that.
It's a pleasure being here. Let's hope that we have better news next week. I don't think we will, but let's hope.
Let's hope. For the latest Buffalo Bills report, if you dare to watch those highlights, lowlights again, by all means, keep it right here for Eyewitness Sports.